Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today we're coming back with another Hall Effect keyboard, and this time we have to thank TickType. TickType sent me out the Naja68. Now, this one I was actually quite curious about. It seems like it's a theme. So, if you guys didn't know, the Iconix Hall Effect keyboard, the EV68, and as well as the M-Chose one, and it looks like even Attack is also kind of all going a very similar route in terms of their Hall Effect keyboard design. I'm really curious the reasons for this. Not too sure. Haven't tried all of them, but they're all slowly starting to come in. And I've already started with the M-Chose, and this time it's TickType's newest release. So we're gonna have to see what this board is like, see if it's worth it or not, and how it performs and compares to other boards out there. So let's go straight into the unboxing. But please make sure to like and subscribe. And I currently have a giveaway going on at the moment. If you leave a comment in my videos from this week, and the last video is going to be the QWERTY keys one. If you leave comments there, you have a chance to gain an entry to the giveaway where I'm going to be building a custom keyboard just for you. So it's going to be a custom Hall Effect keyboard. The winner does have to pay shipping, but it's going to be going on for 2 weeks. So make sure to comment. Please press like as well, as it will really help with the videos. And of course, enjoy. So let's go right into it. So introducing the TickType Naja68. Now this is TickType's first ever Hall Effect keyboard. Now keep in mind, TickType used to be with Neo and QWERTY keys, and there was the Neo 65HE, Sonic HE, but now they're doing their own Hall Effect keyboard. And already with the unboxing, this is awesome, the fact that they provide a carrying case. So this means you can actually put and carry around your keyboard if you want to go out and play games with other friends or go out and meet up with them to do a LAN party. You can actually bring your own peripherals and keep it protected. Now, they have their accessories in here as well, so we're going to open it up and take a look to see what's inside. This is already a nice fact. The fact that they provide you 3 extra switches is awesome. Now, to be fair, Hall Effect switches last a lot longer than mechanical switches, but it's just nice in the fact that they provide you something extra. They give you some extra feet as well. They even give you an extra keycap, which we'll go in looking at later, and they also give you a braided cable. Now, already here, I do wish they provided a USB-C to C with an adapter for the actual 3.0 port. This is something I think every brand should be doing, just because computers are changing, people are building different types of computers. It's just something that I think they should really do. Now, they do provide a manual here for you to look at. They also have a QR code on the top right, and they even give you the website in which you can actually go and check out for the software. So all those things are available, and they actually put in an envelope, which I think is just a nice touch. You know, it just makes it feel like a little bit more of a premium unboxing feeling. Even though it's not much, it's just a little bit extra. Now let's take a look at the keyboard itself. So one thing to note, I think there has been a bit of a trend that's happening with Hall Effect keyboards, specifically with 65%, where they're now going with a specific type of design, kind of like the Skylung, as well as the Iconix one, and even the M-Chose. Like, they're all going kind of similar to each other with this specific design, but I think TickType really nailed it, where it looks really nice and it gives you this really nice mechanical feel and gives you this futuristic design, which is awesome. The board does weigh a total of 1.3 kg, and let's do a sound test. So let's go right into doing the teardown. Now, first things we want to check is what kind of plate and PCB are they working with. So it is not flex cut, which is great to see. I do think flex cut does not work too well for Hall Effect keyboards, as well as a 1.2mm PCB. The only reason I'm saying this is just because I feel that because of how Hall Effect works, you do want something a little bit more firm than flexible and moves around too much. So I think this is a great way to go about it. And it does feel like the plate itself is an FR4 plate, even though it kind of looks like an alu plate. had me confused a little bit in the beginning. Now, one thing to do. So we're going to be opening up this whole board, and my worry is that I have to remove all these things and push out the PCB and keyboard, just like I had to do with the Skylung, and I could not do with Mchos. So there's something funny about this whole aspect. So as you can see, I'm going through this whole hassle of just taking out every screw and trying to figure out how do I get this keyboard open and how to remove it. Turns out this is actually tray mounted. The whole sides is not even necessary to remove at all. All you have to do is remove the screws that are keeping the board into the bottom case, and I'll show you guys where all the screws are going to be located. You can even see me struggling trying to figure out where could the last screw be, and it was actually on the side where I'm trying to pull it out and I'm like, oh wait, something's stuck, and it looks like, oh, I just had to move one more keycap to be able to pull it out. So very, very easy to actually remove. You don't even have to remove the sides. So you can see here exact locations of where the screws are going to be. So all you have to do is look at this video, pause in the section here, and be able to see where it is you have to go. Now the back foam is removable. It's kind of taped on, but not really, which I love how they did that. I really don't like it when, you know, brands actually tape the foam on the back of the PCB. It's just really annoying to deal with. Now you do get the static sheet on the bottom, so just keep in mind those things are there for protection in case of any surges. So keep in mind for that. Now in terms of the PCB, it is going to be 1.6 millimeters, and the plate's going to be also 1.5 millimeters. The foams, the silicone foams that are in between the spacebar, I think really mutes it too much and reduces the sound. I know that's going to be what they're aiming to do, but I think in terms of like having an actual sound that comes out and that's not like muted and deafened, this is probably the best way to do it, is just remove it. I think it sounds a lot better. Now it is going to be plate mounted stabilizers, and they're very heavily lubed, so you can really tell that it is heavily lubed, and honestly I think it's pretty well done, but I did find some spots might feel a little bit mushy, so just keep in mind with that, it might be too much lube in total. So one of the things though is if you do feel like there's any ticking, just grab yourself a syringe and add it in to the stabilizers, and it should help a lot in terms of the sound overall if you have some tick. Now we're going to do a tape mod. Just keep in mind that this might void your warranty, so keep in mind and be careful of that. We're going to do one layer on this thing just so that we can fit it in and see how it does change the sound. Now overall this board does come off a little bit clackier in terms of the switches, so some people might not enjoy that, so keep in mind for those specific aspects. So we're going to put it all back together, which again, you don't need to remove the sides at all to be able to do it. I'm also going to change the keycaps as well, just so you guys can get an idea of what it can sound like with different keycaps, and then see how this all goes.
We did the whole teardown, and you didn't get all the parts, but I originally thought that this teardown was going to be a lot more complicated than I originally thought. It actually is not that complicated to do. It's actually just a tray mounted board with the sides locked up. That's pretty much what it is. Like normally a tray mount keyboard would be a case like the Tofu where it's fully closed off. It's just a rectangle, and then you slit it inside and then you just screw it into the case. This one's kind of like that, except its sides are openable, and then you get access to some of the screws like the ones on the side here, so that you can actually just take it out completely. Now, to be fair, I don't think you need to remove the sides to get access to the board. You can actually just remove it. It's just an interesting design overall. Now, it is a fingerprint magnet, so just keep in mind it's going to be a fingerprint magnet for the back of the board. It is really nice material though. Like they did a great job in terms of just the quality of the board itself, the case wise. Very, very well done. The switches, it's a clackier switch, so if you aren't really interested in more like a higher pitched clacky poppy switch, these switches probably aren't going to interest you in terms of the board wise. But overall, it has been great in terms of the sound. Like it is a nice switch. Lubing it does change the sound a little bit, but overall, I did appreciate kind of the aspects of it. I still don't like PC keycaps though, so we're going to do a little bit of a comparison. We're going to mod the board, right? Have the modded sound test, compare with the original, as well as add in even just regular keycaps on it. So let's go into that and then see how that sounds.
So one of the things that I've felt is that the design-wise, it is a very nice looking board. Now, the back does get a lot of fingerprints, so keep in mind this fact. The side also has light come through, which has a really nice look to it. I love it. You can also change your profiles actually with the button on the top right there, which is quite nice. And you do get this lighting on the left as well. Now, it does come with a really nice case, which I think is a nice touch. And you get all these accessories, which I think is just a bonus in terms of the overall build and having this pre-built keyboard for yourself. Now, I do wish they didn't add the silicone. I don't think it's really necessary. I really recommend removing it. And if you want to keep it muted, fine, keep it. But I do recommend it overall. And it would be nice if they use screw-in stabilizers. Now, there is two versions of this board. There's a silver and a dark gray. Now, it's going to be on sale at the moment for $199 and then regular price $219. The websites, even though it shows different things, keep in mind they are the same keyboard. It's just for some reason the dark gray one has all this animation and looks a lot nicer in terms of the website than the silver version. I do think the dark gray is going to be a better choice, though the silver looks like it has a two-tone to it, which is really cool. They also made their own magnetic switch, which I was kind of surprised to see, but it makes sense when they have the Owl Labs tie switch as well as a Nova switch, so I'm assuming that TickType also kind of went through that same method. Now, overall, you can actually go into the software by entering the website. So keep in mind that you have to type in the website and then you can get into their Hall Effect software. Now, it is a web app, and it's going to be very simple to use. So you can see here with the RGB as well, so you can see how bright it can be, and it can get quite bright. But I noticed the colors look a little bit more pastel than say other like keyboards with PC keycaps. So that's something that I found interesting. It just looks quite pastel-y in terms of the colors, and I actually do enjoy it. I thought that looked a little bit nicer in terms of the lighting, and it's a little bit different compared to say some of the other Hall Effect keyboards that are out there with PC keycaps, which again, I don't like PC keycaps, but it seems like it's all going that way. And I understand people love the RGB, but in terms of just sound, PC keycaps do not sound too great. Now, you can do individual lighting as well, so keep in mind this. You can actually choose individual keys, which is awesome. I think overall they did a great job with how the lighting can be and how it looks and how bright it can be with this board as well. So those things look really cool. And the top left as well has its own lighting, which is very nice. Now, in terms of the software, it's really easy to use. It's actually really nicely done. I think very clean, minimalistic, and easy to use software. I think that's the key point, is easy to use. Any software out there and any brands making their own, keep in mind you should probably do something like this. This is something that's easy to use for anyone, though I don't know how much they're going to be keeping this up to date. I really do hope they do that, especially if they are having their own software. Now, this is something I do for myself for setting it up. You can actually do super gliding testing here, use this Super Glide Tester website, and then you can set up your actuations by seeing what you have to change. So those are things that I like to do when I set up Hall Effect keyboards in one specific profile. And this is something that's anyone can do for themselves, especially if you are an Apex gamer. This is ways you can practice and see for yourself what to do. Now, it does have the rapid triggers, so you can set up the cutoff where it cuts off and where it actually actuates and change depending on that. Also, I noticed that there is no profiles in the layer section, which I think is a con, because overall, even if there's a button that allows you to change, which is great, I appreciate that they have profiles available, and I do appreciate the fact that it's easy to change on the keyboard itself, but sometimes just having the extra step with the layers would be nice as well. I think overall people really should look into having that in their softwares for any Hall Effect keyboards. Now, in terms of playing it in Apex, so as you can see here, even though I set it up, it still takes time to get used to a keyboard. So even though the Super Glide Tester might get you like a 80% accuracy, you're still probably gonna have to practice it yourself as well and see how it goes. Now, in terms of picking up items, it was very quick. So one of the benefits of Hall Effect keyboards is gonna be this, which keeping ping constant with everyone, like everyone has the same ping, you picking up an item obviously is going to be a little bit faster when you have the actuation quicker. Now, as you can see here, I was pulling off super glides. It's not perfect that I was doing it every single time, but again, as I said, it's sometimes depending on how the keyboard is and the typing angle is, you might need a little bit more practice with a certain board than say another board. And I switch keyboards so often, so sometimes I'm just so used to certain typing angles, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get used to. But overall, the board worked quite well. I actually found it pretty quick to get used to after some time. Now, in terms of other benefits Hall Effect keyboards can have, so as you can see here in Apex Legends, R99 has a lot of recoil, so this is a specific gun. And if you move in Apex, so left to right movement, you can actually have a little bit of recoil smoothing. Recoil smoothing is going to be just reducing the recoil a little bit on your gun and making it just easier to control. Hall effect actually has a little bit of a benefit. If you spam AD quick enough, you can actually have a little bit of recoil smoothing that helps it in terms of your aim. So this is something that I can't do on a mechanical keyboard, by the way. I've tried and it doesn't work, but it does work well on a Hall effect keyboard. Now, in terms of Valorant as well, so you can see here I don't have the snap tap on at all, and you can obviously see here that I'm stopping and braking every time. Now I'm going to go into the actual software, turn on SOCD, and then it's going to be able to do the last input. So you can see here that it has constant movement, which is going to be better for strafing. So the idea of Hall effect and the specific software that you're using, the reason why people say it's like cheating is because of that quick movement where you don't stop, and it's going to be making it harder for the enemy to shoot you if you are able to strafe it in this way. But obviously you still need to practice it, right? Like if you don't have the timing correct on your shot, obviously it's going to go spray randomly and it's going to miss. Like you can see right here, I'm not a Valorant player, so obviously my aim's going to suck in trying to do that. Now another benefit is going to be how quickly you can pull off your skills. So those are the things that I think is going to be the biggest benefits for you in terms of Valorant with a Hall effect keyboard. And even here, like with Neon, being able to slide and then have that constant movement without stops so that I can go back and forth left and right, and it's going to be harder for the enemy to shoot, is going to be a benefit. Now going to the spreadsheet to compare with other things. So in general, this is going to be a 68% keyboard. The reason why it's 68 because it's missing the blocker, which would make it a 65. It is 8K. It has its own TickType magnetic switch. Overall, I do think the sound profile of the board is actually pretty decent. I do like the fact that it's more of a clacky sound than a thocky sound. And the reason why I say this is because every other Hall effect keyboard out there kind of feels like it's a thocky keyboard. This one feels like it's more of a poppy keyboard, which I think is good. But it's still not perfect in terms of the sound. So I think one of the things that they should do is kind of look into what ways they can make the acoustics better within the case. I think that's going to be the next step for Hall effect keyboards overall. Now, the software was decent, but it's still missing the profiles, which is what I think was lacking a lot, and as well as the 1 kilohertz going to be missing. So 1K polling rate is missing, which is not great. Now, going into comparing with a lot of boards, I think Sonic was an amazing 65% Hall effect keyboard. Unfortunately, you can't really get it anymore. So comparing it more with the recent boards that are released, it does stand out in terms of the design and the machining of the board. I understand why it's expensive, but I do think that some people out there don't need or want that. So if you are not wanting to spend like the extra $70 from say the A68 Pro, yeah, you can stick with that. It sounds pretty good and it has a nice case, but you're not going to get the really nice quality that this board provides.
So overall, my thoughts in terms of the Naja68 is that the pricing wise, it is going to be more expensive than a lot of the other competitors, around the same, like 65% layout with aluminum case and with AK and all that. Overall though, the actually case quality wise, this one does feel like it outdoes the other ones out there. Now you have to consider with all the extra parts and all the carvings, so obviously that increases the machining cost, right? Machining cost is going to be higher because of all these parts. I do think that overall, when we consider like just the build quality itself, the Naja does stand out compared to the other ones out there. Like especially it's compared to say even the Sonic, which was something that Neo had done. And I don't like the keycaps, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do think that it does provide a very nice transition light, like translucent light, sorry. And I think it's really hard to say because of like all the other choices you have. You can spend about $50 less than this one and still get something that works really well. Or you can buy this one, or you can even spend a little bit more and look at some of the other competitors out there. This one, it's just a little bit of where the aspect, I'd say it's a little bit lacking in terms of the acoustics, in terms of the sound wise, but overall the quality of actual build and playing with it and using it in game and everything like that is really been good. So if you love the design of this thing, which I think this is a very sleek and really like tech heavy build kind of vibe to it, some people are really going to enjoy this. I think some people out there are really going to enjoy this, but just keep in mind there are other choices that you can definitely choose from. I think though overall they did a really great job in terms of just the pure build quality itself. Great job from TickType. I'd love to see more things that they do, especially because they really have done some really cool boards out there. So I'll have the links in the description. Go check it out for yourselves. Please check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.